I betrayed my amazing husband, and though I deeply regret it, he couldn't forgive me. And now I've lost him for good. My husband Alex and I had been together for 16 years, with 14 of those spent as a married couple. We share 2 beautiful daughters, ages 13 and 12. 3 months ago, I made the worst decision of my life. I cheated on him with a coworker. It happened only once, and I regretted it instantly. Even now, I struggle to fully understand why I did it. On the surface, I could say it was because Alex had been consumed with work for the past few months, and I felt overlooked and undervalued. But deep down, I know that's not the true reason, and I've been working with a therapist to uncover what drove me to such a destructive action. The affair only happened once, and the very next day, I confessed everything to Alex. The guilt and shame were unbearable, and I couldn't keep it hidden. His initial reaction was shock, but that quickly turned to anger, and he called me names that tore through me. I deserved every word. Honestly, I probably deserved much worse. I still can't fully grasp how things escalated to the point where I ended up in bed with my colleague. It began with harmless flirting, but before I knew it, I had made a catastrophic mistake. Afterward, I cut all ties with the coworker and handed over my phone to Alex. I wanted him to see I was committed to doing whatever it took to fix things, willing to follow any conditions he set as long as he would consider giving me another chance. Deep down, I knew I wanted to prove that I could be the person he thought I was before all of this. I also told him I understood if he chose to go through with a divorce. I expressed my willingness to do whatever was necessary to regain his trust, and I apologized endlessly for the pain I had caused. My husband has always been the kind of person who gives someone only one chance. In his friendships too, if trust was broken, he wouldn't allow that person back into his life. When he first found out about the affair, he told me he wanted a divorce. But then quarantine hit, and for 2 months, he stayed in the house without moving forward with the separation. During the first month, he was distant and cold. We only spoke when it came to discussing our daughters. I slept on the couch, trying to give him all the space he needed. Occasionally, I'd remind him that if he ever wanted to work things out, I would be fully committed to the process and to rebuilding our relationship. But for the most part, he kept his distance, sometimes saying harsh and hurtful things. It felt like he was determined to keep a wall between us. In the second month, things started to change. He began speaking to me again, about little things, day-to-day conversations. We even started watching movies together with the girls, spending time as a family. I began to feel hope, as if maybe he was open to reconciliation. I was overjoyed at the idea that there could still be a chance to repair our relationship and keep our family intact. Over the following days, our connection began to slowly rebuild. It felt like we were rediscovering our friendship. He even asked me to sleep in our bed again. Things seemed to be improving, and I made sure to tell him that he could talk to me about anything, without fear or hesitation. As weeks passed, we grew even closer, spending more time together as a family and as a couple. I was filled with cautious optimism, grateful for the way things were going, but deep down, I regretted not suggesting marriage counselling. I didn't want him to feel pressured or think I was trying to sweep everything under the rug. I was so afraid that by pushing for counselling, he might feel like I was manipulating the situation to avoid a divorce. One night, we were in our bedroom, drinking and talking, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like a genuine connection between us was rebuilding. It felt as though we were falling for each other all over again, and that brought me so much happiness. This is the moment I now regret the most. In a moment of laughter, I straddled him playfully, and as we locked eyes, it felt so natural that I leaned in and started kissing him. For a brief moment, it was like we were 20 again, lost in each other like before. He kissed me back, and for a fleeting second, I thought maybe things were really getting better. But then, he started crying. He told me to stop and said he couldn't do it. My heart shattered as I realised he was torn between wanting to be close again, but being unable to because of the pain I had caused. I apologised, feeling the weight of my mistake, and we silently went to sleep. Now, looking back, I believe that night was the turning point. the moment I unknowingly pushed him away for good. 2 days later, he told me he wanted to go through with the divorce. He explained that despite trying for the last 2 months, he didn't believe he could move past everything. I wanted to argue, to plead with him, but instead, I just told him I understood. We had already agreed beforehand that if it came to this, we would try to handle the divorce as fairly as possible. Sure, there would be lawyers, but we had settled many of the details together in advance. He mentioned wanting to take a 2-week trip to clear his head before returning to pick up the girls. We both agreed that after his return, we would split custody equally, with the girls spending half the week with him and the other half with me. When the time came, I even helped him pack up his things. Once we finished, I broke down completely, and we hugged, both of us understanding how final this felt. When he came back after his trip, I felt a mix of relief and sorrow seeing him again. We made some small talk, and he smiled, but I knew deep down that things would never be the same. Then he took the girls, and just like that, the life we had together began to truly unravel. We've always been great parents, and no matter what, we both want the best for our daughters. But today, I was served with the divorce papers. The reality of it hit me so hard. I've truly lost my best friend because of one terrible decision. Mornings are the worst. Sometimes I still roll over to his side of the bed, and it's like a punch to the gut when I don't feel him there anymore. I miss everything about him. His scent, his smile, the way his voice filled the room. I miss how his laugh, that loud and contagious laugh, would bring the whole house to life. I miss him with every fibre of my being. But what cuts the deepest is knowing just how much I hurt the person I love more than anyone else in this world. If I could turn back time, I'd give anything to undo what I did. But I know I can't. So here I am, pouring my heart out on Reddit, tears streaming down my face, knowing that nothing I do will change what happened. I wish he could see inside my heart, see the depth of my regret and how desperately I wish I could prove to him that I would be the most loyal and dedicated wife if only he'd give me another chance. I want him to know just how much I still love him, how I'd do absolutely anything for him. I ruined the best thing that ever happened to me, and now I have to live with that. I know I've lost him forever, but I wish with everything in me that I could somehow get him back.